Hello, my name is Paul Massard. I'm an executive coach and a co-founding partner of GoodTime.app. I'm going to be with Prosper on the online prosperity show. I'll be sharing insights about my transition from a very successful corporate ladder that I had to give up to move to a very fulfilled, passionate life into executive coaching and entrepreneurship, supporting people's development and growth into happier life.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, your number one destination to discover exclusive stories, insights, and solutions that help you thrive. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we've got something extraordinary in store for you. Our guest is none other than Paul Massard. Now, Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm good, very good, very good. How are you, Prosper?
I am doing fantastic. I'm trying to be as flexible as you are, but I don't think I will be able to do that in the next 45 minutes. So I'll stick to what I know best, which is just talking. Yeah.
Cool, excellent. That's all good, all good.
Fantastic. Now, for those that are meeting Paul for the very first time, Paul is an executive coach, a mindful leadership maestro, and also the co-founder of Good Time Flow. He helps leaders and teams align purpose, energy, and results while unlocking human-centered performance. But before we dive in, I want to ask you this while you're listening. For those that are listening and watching right now, have you ever maybe climbed the corporate ladder only to find yourself speechless when you've been asked or offered your next big promotion? Well, imagine politely nodding and thinking, wait a minute, I don't think this is what I even want. Now, that, my dear audience, is exactly what happened to Paul. And we're going to be hearing all about how that moment actually sparked a profound transformation in his life. So basically, by the end of this episode, you'll understand how to build meaningful connections, elevate your mental fitness, and harness energy-giving moments. And yes, you get to hear about the surprise skill that Paul can do that's way, way more flexible than your Monday morning coffee run. That's why I was saying I'll just stick to talking because that's what I know best. So if your mind is not blown yet, prepare to be amazed, and type in the comments below where you are watching this from. So let's get into it. Now, Paul, I could go on and on. I've already mispronounced your last name and you've corrected me a lot of things. I'm afraid I might keep doing more of that damage. So you've spent 20 years running global operations before you actually had to pause mid-conversation with HR when you realized that this is not what you wanted. First of all, how did you get in that room, and how did you then get to that realization?
It's incredible how it was sudden. I worked in big corporations. We moved around. I was a general manager. I was 35. I was identified as a high potential. They put me into accelerated leadership training. I was doing great in my job. I was just moved into Bangkok. Had a Southeast Asia P&L responsibility. Everything was fine. And then the HRVP came in and said, let's have a chat. I want to check on you. I've known the guy for, I don't know, maybe 10 years. He's been following me. He's been a big fan of me, actually, to be frank. And we sit together. It's a very friendly guy, very human guy. And then he says, Paul, you're doing great. You've always done great. The teams love you. The boss also loves you. We're going to put you into big positions. You're gonna be doing, you're gonna fly around, manage business strategies, and lead big teams. And I look at him, and nothing comes out of me. It was like blank. Is it? And I'm thinking, inside of me, is it? That's great. I mean, isn't that what everybody's looking for when you enter a corporations and then you move up the corporate ladder? This is what everything is dreaming of, that people put you into this, pipeline of growth and career. And I think I was surprised myself that should I say something? Am I supposed to say yes or no or whatever? And then he came back to me and said that you don't seem motivated by what I'm saying. And I said, and I think I had I don't know, a couple of seconds of reflection and said, I'm not sure this is what I want. And that was really the first time that I said to myself, but also said to someone that this is not what I wanted. I just don't want to fly around. And short story long, but I remember I had like N+3 coming to my plant doing the business review with me. He fell asleep during my review because he was tired or maybe he was sick. But and I looked at him and I said, I'm never gonna be this guy. Flying around doing like 2 business reviews every 2 hours. And so back to the room with my HR VP and said, you know what I really want is not this. Just give me a small team, give me a small challenge, put me with nice people, even, tough situations. But I just want to have like a small family, people that I can be close to. I just want to be flying around and touch people here and there every 2 months or every 3 months. I want to be with them. And this is I think it was like popping into my mind for a long time. But that was the first time that I realized that, no, this is not what I want. What I want is just be with people, care about them, develop them. Of course, you gotta have a goal, develop business, make money. This is company KPI, that is important. But it came to what I've always said to my team is, my primary goal is to make you guys happy, okay? And then I suppose the P&L and the KPI will follow up, okay? It wasn't really sometimes not aligned with some of my bosses, but that was the philosophy where I guided my team. And again, back to that conversation, he said, okay, if you don't want that, what would you like to do? And so we started discussing things that I could do, being more with people. But it was like really, I think the first time that and the way being a coach, I understand now I understand that when you say something that really crystallizes your thoughts and push you forward into action. And so for that moment, I said, okay, let me find what is it really that is my purpose, or what is success for me. And I think it took time for me to get to the point where I am today, but that was really a trigger. So very, very, very interesting. And funny enough, I post on LinkedIn from time to time, and some very personal stories, and that HR VP, and then the conversation I think happened maybe 8 years ago, and that HR VP, he still looks at my LinkedIn posts, puts on comments, and then I put a stories about my parents, and he actually said, "Oh, I remember you talking to me about your parents and how the special relationship that I have with my father." And so that was great. I mean, having that person talk to me back 8 years ago, 8 years after that, it just felt great. Yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit of that story.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking us there. I think maybe he's still looking to see that maybe you might change your mind and say, you know what, after second thoughts.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate that. And it takes a redemptive amount of self-awareness to really stand in front of an opportunity like that to actually reflect back and look at what is much more important? Would it be to just jump on and then end up sleeping in front of people, or to actually go with something that actually fulfills you? Now, towards the end of your answer, you started mentioning your parents. Now, I would maybe want to go back a little bit. What was growing up like?
It was, I think I'm very lucky to have had a very happy childhood. The funny thing is that my parents were running a restaurant business. So obviously, I was waking up alone because they were still sleeping. And then when I came back from school, they were not there because they were still busy at the restaurants. But um, but the presence and the support that my parents always gave me, or I'd say the empowerment of my choice, was great, and the focus on being good at school, and then I guess I was lucky to be good at school. My parents always supported me in my choices, in what I wanted to do. My father being a real Chinese type, entrepreneur, he wanted me to go to a business school, and I said, I'm sorry, I don't want to do that. I want to go to engineering school. And he respected that, and he pushed me on that. And then going back to a story, which is, I'm not saying we had financial difficulties when I grew up, but money was not available, that easily. But one thing my parent always did is they always gave me money if I wanted to buy a book, or some music. I was a big fan of opera. I'm still a big fan of opera, but whenever I need access to culture, education, it was readily available for me. They would always give me money. Okay, if you want to buy a book, that's fine. If you want to go to a theater, that's fine. Just go. So that was great. And the family value that they portrayed and then nurtured me, it's still very much present. And I speak to my parents almost every day, every 2 days, even though they back there, not where I live. We speak every day, or either they call me or I call them. Yeah.
That's a very beautiful, start to your journey and things of that nature. But being that your parents were obviously in that position and in that status in society, was there, even though it wasn't implied, but was there any expectation on your part to actually succeed and at least level up, in life?
Yes, there was a clear expectation, I would say soft pressure from parents for me to succeed. Obviously, yes. Chinese families, you got to be good at school, and if you're not good at school, you still got to be good at school. And there was some so it's I had this pressure on me being successful, entering big companies and climbing the corporate ladder. That was unconscious for me. I think I spent the first 35 years being in that pipeline. I was good at school, entered a top school, got a great job starting, and then moved to China. Suddenly they gave me 150 people, hundreds of millions of revenue to manage, and then I continued to climb up, and I was like in this tunnel. The more I did, the more I put energy into it, passion, dedication, and it all worked out at some point. And I think that was fueled by my self expectation to be recognized by parents. My father, again, to be short, he had a life in Cambodia, and then because of the war, he had to move to France. And then in France, we We started living in a small apartment with 15 of us. He didn't speak the language. He had to build everything from scratch. My mother was selling cheese. He was at an automotive shop, and then they started building a restaurant that was successful, and then they slowly, started building other businesses. And so that was like this model of resilience and successful entrepreneurship. That's kind of that. Oh, that's the thing that I need to show up. I need to not be as good as him, but um, the effort that he put into getting us a great life in France, without the effort that he put in, I need to give it back and show him that I actually can do something with it. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And now I'm establishing that obviously the pressure really came from you yourself. And while you're sitting in that office with that VP and, in HR, you stumbled on answering the question if you wanted to take on the new promotion or not. So if you're looking back at that particular scenario, then if you had been growing, what lit that spark for you to actually turn that down?
Uh, I think it was the realization at some point, my father always wanted me to go into the entrepreneurship kind of road.
Right.
For multiple reasons. I don't really know actually why. And so, but also his focus at coming, because at that time I had a family, children, a stable job, and I think his focus was more make yourself happy. I mean, enjoy your time more than show me that you're successful. And then um, and then fast forward many years after that, when I decided to leave my company, and I called my father, and I was kind of you understand, I had a great career in a great company, and then I'm calling my father and said, I'm going to leave the company and do something else. And I was kind of afraid of the reaction. And what he said was, yeah, go for it. Go for it. Do something else. Do something that you like to do. Or build a company. Now you build foundations. You have great family. You have some money put aside. Just do what you feel is right for you. And I was like, yes.
That's
Yeah,
a good
I was
feeling.
really happy with that.
That's a good feeling when you've got the support, especially from your family and things like that. But looking at this scenario now, you were considerably walking away from a stable corporate life, and that's
Yeah.
you. And this is something you've built all your life and things of that nature. What sort of fears did you maybe have or things of that nature? Because so many people would have maybe financial identity or connection type fears where they don't quite know what the next logical step would be.
Yeah.
And how,
Yeah.
yeah, and how did you overcome them?
Um, it, it was actually quite surprisingly fast the way I switched, because I had done prior work about myself, about what I wanted to do, through a coaching training. And you're right, fears are, um, um, loss of identity. When you go out, meet people, you can't say, I'm a general manager. What do you say? You say, so what I was training myself to say, I'm not a general manager anymore. I'm a yoga teacher, because that was something that I did just after that, just for fun. Financial, also stability was something that I lost. But I had investment and money put aside, and then thinking about, that was, I was able to sustain myself for a couple of years. It wouldn't have made a difference for me to continue having this salary along the years. And so the work that I did really was and something, it's a word that you always use, is just letting go of the need for identity. Okay, I'm perfectly fine being myself. Whether I'm a yoga teacher or a coach or a father, embracing my identity as I feel it was my true self was just fine. But also letting go of the need for having financial stability, income, salary, getting to your account every month. That was not the need that I actually needed. But also what I lost is got connection to a team. It was great, going to the office in the morning, having actually a team to be with and to see them grow or to work with them. And that part that was really important for me, I took specific actions to overcome that, to rebuild the team on my own, so that I would continue to have those connections with people. So again, surprisingly, it took me, I would say, 2 or 3 months to be like confident enough to go to networking event and say, I'm a coach, or I'm just a yoga teacher. So that's kind of funny. So I went from regional general manager to yoga teacher, and I thought it was fun to actually say that. uh, yeah,
Yeah, because you know what's interesting about that? That's a complete identity shift. You know what I mean?
right.
Because so many people assign their identity to the work that they are doing or the post that they hold. But
Yeah,
you had practiced yoga and breathwork for about 15 years now. And so,
yeah.
how did then these practices shift your sort of internal game while you were chasing all these quotas and targets?
Yeah. Uh, there's it's just a feeling, but and there's been examples of how a physical practice like yoga or a physical practice like breath work, it actually works on the mind. There's multiple scientific research on that. I believe so. For me, yoga started like a physical practice. I just wanted to work out. I was young. I need to do something. So, and then I was naturally flexible, so I just went there. Actually, my wife took me there, and then I was the one hooked to that. So I've been practicing, taking yoga teacher training. I find my way there, but the physical practice switched into like a real mental practice, and yoga and then breath work later on really helped me be aware. You're aware of your body, okay? Because you put in poses that are really uncomfortable. That hurts. Sometimes. So you put your both legs behind your head. That yeah, it sounds horrible. Even when you're flexible, that hurts. Okay, at some point. But being in that uncomfortable position trains your mind to say, okay, I'm there. It hurts. It's not uncomfortable. I can feel it, but I'm staying here. Okay. And so that awareness of how your body feels, and you might be like, what am I doing here, doing those silly things? But calm your mind, being aware of what's happening in your head, in your body. That mental practice that I acquired through my yoga practice was great, and led me to come to, I guess you said that the magic word that I use often is self-awareness,
Mhm.
knowing what is happening in your head, what thoughts you have, what emotions you have, what beliefs you have about yourself, and then letting go those thoughts, emotions, and beliefs that are not useful for your ultimate purpose. So that was really, I think, yoga and breathwork was the practice that really led me to that self-awareness of where I was able to, at some point, to say, I'm stressed right now. I can feel it. I feel it in my body. I don't know why. Maybe it's this, maybe that, but it's that. But once I'm aware of that, then seconds ago, it's just gone. Just being aware and saying to yourself, I'm stressed, and then the stress is gone. Same for being sad, same for being angry. Strong emotions doesn't pass like that. But putting a space between how you feel, what you think, and then what you do, really it was I think triggered by that practice of yoga and breath work.
Absolutely. And There's so much to unpack from that, but you
Yeah.
actually, while you're talking, you know, you described just letting go of certain things that no longer felt essential to you at that particular time and holding on to the things that were valuable for you. Now, a lot of people, I mean, obviously, you already have self awareness, and the allure of you being promoted that meant more money, more clout, more everything else, you know,
Yeah.
more status, which is
Yeah.
what a lot of people have. But you, that didn't even bother you. Now, how does one figure out what their core values are, you know, when you're being tempted in this sort of messy, beautiful transition that you were in? Because
Yeah.
some people would have been like, what's wrong with Paul? Like, I would.
Uh, yeah. One quick solution is just hire a coach.
Higher
um,
Paul.
and I want to respect the people who have career ambitions. They want to climb up the corporate ladder. They want more money and more salary. If this is your core values, that's fine. Just accept them as they are, and and be aware. Maybe there's something behind that, or maybe there's not. Uh, so my core values were not in there. I didn't need any status. I didn't need more money. But what I mean, the question that I ask people or I ask to myself sometimes is, when you turn 70 or 80, what would you be proud of? What are you going to tell your grandchildren about? Are you going to tell them that, oh, I increased sales 30% for, for this great business. I turned around this plant, because of the manufacturing capabilities were dead, etc. Are you going to say that, or are you going to say something else? Um, so so um, and I guess it's not easy because everybody is under social pressure. You got to show up as someone that you might not be. You're also projecting a self identity outside. Um, it's a mental practice. Again, I come back to this concept where you slowly build up self awareness. So you're not gonna come to a realization that suddenly your core values are this, and that. But slowly you can, pause. You know how now pause is a very fashionable word in the leadership. It just pause and reflect. What is happening right now? Why am I doing this? How do I feel here? Um, uh, Social media doesn't help to do that, but you can get off your social media and pause and say, okay, how do I feel right now? Put name to that emotions. Oh, what is motivating me to feel this way? What is the belief that I'm holding, that is, you know, preventing me to go this way? So all these small little things that you can do, it's not it has to start by physical practice, I guess. Running is a good way to have a mindful practice. It could be yoga, obviously. Any type of physical activity that actually gets you away from thoughts is good. And so you build that mental hygiene. I'm looking at it as, you brush your teeth every day, right? Hopefully.
I hope. Yes,
Yeah, I
so.
hope.
Yeah.
And so what you do for your teeth, can you do it for your mind as well? Do a little thing every day and take it into a habit so that you can actually grow that self-awareness about yourself. And
Mm.
slowly, there's no magical formula. Okay, everybody has to find their way. But getting there slowly, being aware of what is happening in your head, hiring a coach obviously helps, or talking to someone, and then you'll get the realization of what is real purpose, what what is success to you. Okay,
Mm.
what will you be proud of when you're 70 years old? And slowly you'll start you'll start aligning your actions into what you really want, what really makes you like happy, fulfilled.
Absolutely. You see, you're talking about brushing your teeth, right? So when it comes to brushing your teeth, I don't know what your bathroom setup is, but the toothbrush and the toothpaste is always in sight, in
Yeah.
visible sight. You know, it's not
Yeah.
like in a cupboard or things of that nature. I think that's just maybe 90% of the people just leave their toothbrush in sight, which means it's, instant reminder that, oh, snap, I
Right.
need to brush my teeth, and it's always there. But when it comes to brushing the mind, there's not always immediate reminders in our environment or things, people, books, scenarios that will automatically get us to
Yeah.
think, wait a minute, I need to floss my brain.
Right. Yeah.
um we usually are a product of our environment. Did
Yeah.
you maybe have people around you that would have been like, "Ooh, Paul, what are you doing?" Or did you also have people that went on and did things for their life, which chose them instead of wanting to chase some sort of corporate climb, just so that they can be, do, and have whatever was being dangled in front of them?
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, I've met a lot of people who actually chose a similar path as I did. Um, um, for different reasons, obviously for different, um, but I think one common thing is the idea of um, being more. Yeah, I happen to know a lot of coaches, obviously, but those people have a common thread, which is connecting to people, supporting people's development,
Mm.
um, and they came to that realization in a different way. I have some people who love music, and through music, practice, the enjoyment of playing music, build their self-awareness. I had people also through sports, started to go through, jujitsu, for example. They started, switching their attention to something else. Uh, and that word attention is very important. It's something I always remind people. Your attention, or how much of your time is spent actually doing things that are important for you outside of work, obviously, in those situations.
Mm.
And so if you ask me what other path or what advice I would give to people, is just find something that you really enjoy doing outside of your obligations for yourself. Could be sports, could be arts, could be reading, and explore how it feels to be in there, and then get yourself, up there. Not necessarily to be an expert, but explore how you can be better in something that you're really passionate about, that's outside of your obligation, that's really just for you.
Oh, I'm saying. Tell us about Lee, that quiet sales guy who
Oh,
didn't he take a pay cut, just to be near his wife?
yeah. So that was an incredible story, that something that happened to me. Um, when was that? I think yeah, many years ago. It's probably 15 years ago. I Trying to get it short. At that time, I was leading a very large sales team, and then Mr. Lee was just not below me. He was someone reporting to me, and we'd often go there. I was in China. I would meet him, meet some customers, and Mr. Lee was like this very honest, loyal, very steady sales guy. He's been doing that for 15 years. He got a lot of loyalty from customers, so he's a good guy. Not excellent, no potential, but really, really nice. And he's been loving his job. And then what happened is that his wife got cancer, and so he asked me to move back to the plant so he can take care of his wife. And obviously, I'd say, of course, I'll do it, but that means you're gonna have to have a pay cut, and then you'll return. You won't have the same benefits. You'll return to the plant and work at the plant. So I arranged it, and I'll send an email to HR. HR arranged it, and that was done. For me, it was like, okay, he he obviously has to go back to his wife. But what happened is, like, I think 6 months after that, I was walking around the plant with some other customers visiting the plant, and I bumped into him. And this part of the plant was like it was painting pipes, so it was like the smell of solvent was very high. All the workers had red paint all over them. They had like very heavy mask and on the eyes and on for breathing as well. Heavy equipment. It was a terrible working environment. But I bumped into him, um, and he reached out to me and he said, "Oh, well, Paul, thanks for bringing me back to the plant." And I said, "How is your wife? Oh, she's getting better, but I still need to take care of her." And I was kind of touched that he didn't say anything. He says, "Just thank me." And as I walked out of the plant, some emotions came up, and I still can feel that. And I was actually crying after that, and I didn't know why at that time. I was like, and I looking back into that, because at that time, I didn't have a lot of self-awareness at that time. It was like, what is happening? Why are you crying? So just brush off, and after that, I just walked back and to my office, and that was it. But now looking back into this, I there was an attachment to the guy that I didn't realize that I had, and realizing that the guy also sacrificed his good life as a sales manager, with all the pracs, everything, the expenses and all, and now he's like in this very tough environment. That was kind of, oh God, I didn't realize that it was going to be like that. And then did I follow up on how his wife was doing? Did I actually care for the guy? I was like, wow, what is happening? But it was so sad to see him like this. But also, I was like, in admiration of the sacrifice he made for the family. But I think at the same time, there was this attachment that I had with him that I didn't realize that I had. And so, yeah, funny enough, that happened to me, and then I was actually with another sales manager that was walking with me, and he saw me cry, but he didn't say anything. And then, and a year after that, we were in the sales meeting with everyone else, and we had some team building, and we were debriefing everything else, and the trainer that I hired, he looked back at me and said, "Oh, is there one event that really made you a special event that you want to share to the team?" And then I wanted to tell that story about Mr. Lee, about me, being attached to the team, but I couldn't finish the story because I was crying. There was like 150 people around me, and so the sales manager finished the story for me, and I realized that emotion of that it was still present. I don't know actually what it was, but caring for people was, I think, the realization that I didn't care enough for Mr. Lee. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, having met him in that situation, knowing what you knew about his family and what he was now having to go through just so that he can maybe, make ends meet, how does that now inform the leader you are today?
And I go back to the point where when I tell my team, I want you guys to be happy. It's there. It's making sure that people are in a corporate environment. When people come to the office, they're happy to be with the team. They're being recognized. They're psychologically safe to try out things. They they won't get blamed because they have mistakes. I want them to feel supported, cared for. And that has always been my philosophy, and I think I got it back. I've always kept in touch with all the people that I've worked with, all the incredible people that I've worked with, um, and um, I remember also that I worked for a very short time in the business of the company that I work with for only 2 years. I was very busy. It was a very stressful environment. But the day I was transferred to another position, and I went to meet my N-1. He was a project manager. He also had a very a great team. So I went to see him and say, I'm leaving. I'm transferring to a new job. And his reaction was, and I was surprised because I'd only worked 2 years with him, and he was quite autonomous. We didn't speak every day, and it was like, whew, it was silence, and then he kind of had to sit and think. And the first thing he saw me is like, oh, you're you're the first manager that I feel so comfortable saying anything. It was so like safe and comfortable talking to you, working with you. And I said, oh, okay. I really, it's probably one of the nicest things that people have said to me. That the trust was there, the safety. I mean, he was happy, and he went through a lot of shit. Sorry to say that during my 2 years. But having him feedback to me that he felt happy to work with me, that was like, oh, that was great. I was like, oh, this is exactly what I want people to feel like when they work with me.
Absolutely. So you felt if you then were given this promotion, you were going to be taken away from this proximity to actually making an impact and influence with the people that you're going to be working with. And I'm assuming that's the reason why that pause actually made sense now.
Exactly. I think you nailed it down. Yeah. I want, connection with the people was and is what is really guiding me right now, more than any other success. It's really being connected with being connected to people that I care for, and if they don't care, if they care for me, that's better. But no attachment there.
So you've gone on and turned this insight into the Good Time Flow, and you've built a life dashboard, and I think it's coming from a PhD sort of backed the Good Time Ratio. Just walk us through what this actually does, and why have you chosen this to be the measure of life satisfaction?
Before we go there, I went into executive coaching just to branch it out. So I quit my job, went to executive coaching. So started, coaching people that had the same background, directors, general managers, or CEOs. And it was actually it was great. I loved it. I'm still doing that, and I love. It doesn't always happen, but you see transformation in people's eyes, or when they pause and say, "Oh yes,"
when they get it,
they get it. That is just great. So I linked into connecting to people and then supporting people to find their own path. I did that through executive coaching, and that worked wonderfully for me. But I wanted to expand that impact that I had on other people. Executive coaching is great, one-to-one, but you only have limited time to impact people, limited resources, you're just alone. So I wanted to take that to a next level. And so it happened that I had a good friend who came to me who's a PhD in sociology, and he came up with that great idea of a good time ratio. Good time ratio is basically the amount of time that you spend aligned with your values, being fulfilled, being full of energy. And so we created together GoodTime.app, which is a digital lifestyle dashboard. It's basically a self-assessment that you fill in with what is happening in your life, how you feel about yourself, who are you with, where are you, what do you do, and what you get. And out of that, the app is giving you insights of what is happening in your life, and it's also giving you recommendations so that you improve your good time ratio. So the idea is back to self-awareness, to have a mirror of actually what is happening to you. People go for journaling, for example, but don't, it takes a lot of effort for journaling. We want to give some people like a very quick way to reflect on what has happened to you over the last 24 or 48 hours, and give you recommendations. Oh, what is making you actually fulfilled, happy, joyful? What is not, and how you can balance that and help you make better decisions about yourself, about how you move forward and improve your good time ratio.
Nice. See, while I was looking at the GoodTime, the app, some people are saying that it actually helps them to see what fuels and what drains them. Maybe can you share a moment where somebody actually had an aha moment, and what did that look like?
Yeah. I actually had a aha moment doing that for myself. Maybe I can share that.
Yeah.
I was I was I was I was with the family. I went back to France to see my brothers are there, my parents are there, and so I was in France for a month in July, and we have a tradition where my mother will cook for everyone, so like 10 people every night. And we go all together to their house and have, because we all live kind of close together. Um, and so it's family time. It's supposed to be enjoyable. It's supposed to be like, oh, that's great, because I live in Bangkok, they live there. So it's nice to be all together. But I was filling my own GoodTime.app assessment. I I didn't rate that as a good time. I said I didn't like it, or I said it's okay. Um, and then just by doing it once, it was like, yeah, because we didn't actually talk. Everybody was doing that private conversation. It was not really an enjoyable time. And then the second day, same. I couldn't. Yeah, it was not fun to be with the family. And so and I saw that was a trend, and I realized that, oh my God, actually being with the family every day, it was pulling my energy down. I felt bad after that. And it made me think, oh, how is a good way that I can spend time that is enjoyable with the family? Is there any other way to do it? Maybe not being with the family every day, or maybe arranging the table differently, or having different topics of conversation, or doing something else. So that can that and I actually implemented some of the change. Actually, I said to my wife, let's just not go to the dinner every day, just maybe once every 3 days. And actually that improved a lot. Yeah, that improved a lot. And so having that realization came through the dashboard, and say, oh, Paul, you're not having good time spending with your parents and your brothers. Oh, okay. That doesn't feel normal, so I should do something about that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it actually really helps you salvage relationships, that you thought you were enjoying, while maybe the other party would have not
Exactly.
been looking at it that way. So if somebody is probably watching this and thinking, wow, this is something that I definitely need, either for myself, my team, or for their loved ones, where can they go on the internet and take the assessment?
It's very easy. So go on GoodTime dot app app, and then you can log in, create an account, and then go through the self-assessment. There's a possibility that you also do an online onboarding with either me or my partner, so that we go with any users on the assessment together, so that they understand how it works. And then I think the first assessment will probably take 10, maybe 15 minutes. And so after that, you'll get your dashboard. You get your first dashboard. And so the value of it is that you keep doing it every day, obviously. But even if you do it like 2 or 3 times a week, the more information you put in, the more value you get out of the dashboard and the recommendations that we provide.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes so that people
Great.
can actually get started on their journey. Now, Paul, I can't thank you enough for your time, the experience that you shared with us today, and just what you enlightened us with. But now that you've brought us into your world, what's next? What are you working on that we can rally behind and be excited about that you're bringing in the not so distant future?
So currently, we're working on the next um, trying to get it as short as possible. We want to have a full integration of AI into the GoodTime.app, and our next step is to actually create a conversational way to input your data. So talk to an AI, so that whatever is happening to you, what you do, who you are with, where you are, is captured through a conversation. And so GoodTime.app will be a very powerful life companion. So we're working on that. We're taking to the next step, so that people can without any obstacles get into their dashboard and get some insights about their life. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Now, Paul, I can't thank you enough for sharing such a humane, heart aligned journey. I mean, your life story and your experience have so much value for a lot of people that maybe just blindly climbing the corporate ladder without being self-aligned or self-aware as to what it is that they really need to do or what their values are. I mean, you took us from the pressure rooms of corporate strategy to coaching with compassion, and now you've launched the Good Time Flow, app to just help people with clarity and
Yeah.
fulfillment. I think
Mhm.
what you're doing is remarkable work.
Thank you, Prosper.
Absolutely. Now, for our listeners, if today's story actually spoke to you, which I think it should, otherwise, hey, you might be dead inside. You need to check the Good Time Flow assessment, because you should take the online prosperity as something that was a really good thing that happened to you. And if you've ever been put in a position to either choose between achievement or meaning, I want you to pause today and maybe just ask yourself what part of your life is actually draining you. And, with that alone, you should now really commit to the things that actually fulfill you instead of draining you. And obviously, there's quite a lot of that in this episode today. You need to really, really maybe watch it again or watch it with someone who you absolutely care for. I will also be putting all the links that have been mentioned in the show notes below so that you can actually start your own journey and assessment. And for those that are joining us for the very first time, be sure to be subscribed to the Online Prosperity Show, because in the next episode, we're going to be exploring ideas that will help you craft a happier and more peaceful existence. And if you found a connection or hope in today's episode, please share this with somebody who needs it. And be sure to subscribe for more heartwarming insights. And just let us know in the comments what resonated with you the most. Now, here's to your journey, and I hope you find more good time in it every day. Bye for now.